Join Tiny Tales Paradise for Paws and Promises, a new tale of Boots, a fun bedtime story for kids. This educational kid story teaches what intelligence and ingenuity can do through colorful animations and a warm narration, perfect for bedtime or classroom learning. Subscribe for weekly fairy tales and moral stories. Paws and Promises, a new tale of Boots. Chapter 1. The miller's youngest son. Once upon a time, in a sunny village tucked between rolling hills and whispering wheat fields, lived a young boy named Milo. He was the youngest of 3 brothers, sons of a kind-hearted miller who turned golden grain into fluffy flour. The village of Windwhistle was a cozy place where chickens clucked like gossiping neighbors and the windmill spun lazy circles under the blue sky. When the miller passed away, he left his treasures to his sons. The eldest got the windmill, humming with work. The middle brother inherited the family's sturdy donkey, perfect for hauling sacks of flour. But Milo, he got a cat. Not just any cat, mind you, but a sleek orange tabby with emerald eyes and a grin that hinted at secrets. His name was Boots, and he was no ordinary feline. Milo sat on a hay bale, scratching his head. A cat? What am I supposed to do with a cat? I can't grind flour with purrs or carry grain with whiskers. He sighed, picturing his brother's grand inheritances while he held a furry friend who seemed more interested in chasing dust motes. Boots, however, flicked his tail and gave Milo a knowing look. "Oh, the of little faith," he said, his voice smooth as cream. "I'm not just a cat, Milo. I'm a partner in adventure. Stick with me, and we'll make something positively spectacular happen." Milo's jaw dropped. "You talked since. When do cats talk?" "Since this one got tired of meowing," Boots replied, stretching grandly. "Now, let's get to work. First, I need a pair of boot shiny ones, size cat, and maybe a hat with a feather for flair. Trust me, it's all part of the plan." Milo blinked, unsure if he was dreaming or if his cat was genuinely plotting a fashion makeover. But Boots' confidence was contagious, like a sunny day after a week of rain. "All right, Boots," Milo said, chuckling. "Let's see what you've got up your furry sleeve." Chapter 2. Boots' Big Plan. The next morning, Milo scrounged up some coins from a jar under his bed and visited the village cobbler. He ordered a tiny pair of leather boots, polished to a gleam, and a hat with a bright red feather that made Boots look like a pint-sized pirate. When Boots strutted out, tail high and boots clicking, Milo couldn't help but laugh. "You look like you're ready to conquer the world." "Not the world," Boots said, adjusting his hat. "Just Windwhistle for now. Step 1. We need to make you famous. Everyone loves a hero, and I'm going to make you the talk of the town." Boots' plan was as clever as a fox in a henhouse. He trotted to the river, where he caught a plump fish with a swipe of his paw. Then, with Milo trailing behind, he marched to the grand castle, where the kind but lonely King Cornelius lived with his daughter, Princess Lila. Boots presented the fish to the royal cook, bowing low. "A gift from my master, the Marquis of Carabas," he announced, winking at Milo. "Marquis of who?" Milo whispered, panicking. "I'm just Milo," Boots hissed. "Play along." "A marquis sounds way fancier than Milo, the miller's son." The cook, impressed by the fish and Boots' charm, sent word to the king. Soon, Rumors of the mysterious Marquess of Carabas spread through the castle like wildfire. Boots kept at it, delivering rabbits, apples, and even a basket of wildflowers, each time proclaiming they were from the generous Marquis. Milo, though nervous, started to enjoy the game, especially when villagers began whispering his fake title with AW. Chapter 3. The Science of Success's Boots worked his magic. Milo wondered how a cat could be so clever. Boots, how do you know all this stuff about impressing people? He asked one evening as they sat by the riverbank. Boots licked a paw, looking smug. Observation, my dear Milo. I've watched humans for years. They love stories, gifts, and a bit of mystery. Plus, I've got a knack for strategy, like how the river flows faster when it narrows, focusing its energy. That's physics, you know? Milo raised an eyebrow. Physics? You're a cat, not a scientist, Feft Boots said. Cats are natural scientists. We study gravity by jumping off fences and learn momentum by chasing mice. Now, pay attention. Our next step is to make you look like a marquis. We need land, wealth, and a little showmanship. Milo learned that Boots' tricks weren't just sneaky, they were based on real ideas. For example, Boots explained how giving gifts, like the fish, was a form of social science called reciprocity. When you give something, people feel like they owe you, Boots said. It's why the king invites you to dinner now. Milo grinned. So, you're using brain power, not just whiskers. Exactly, Boots said, and a bit of charm. Now, let's talk about that land. Chapter 4. The ogre's orchard. Boots had his eyes on a lush orchard owned by a grumpy giant named Grumblethorn. The giant wasn't mean, just territorial, and he scared villagers away with his loud snores and habit of tossing apple cores like cannonballs. Boots, however, saw opportunity where others saw obstacles. Milo, that orchard could be yours, Boots said, twirling his feather. It's fertile, full of fruit, and perfect for a marquis. All we need is a little persuasion. Milo gulped. Persuade a giant. He'll squash us like grapes. Trust me, Boots said. Giants are big, but their brains, not so much. Watch and learn. Boots scampered to Grumblethorn's orchard, where the giant was napping under an apple tree. Oh, mighty Grumblethorn, Boots called, bowing dramatically. I hear you're the strongest creature in Whistle, but can you change into something tiny, like a mouse? I bet even a giant can't do that. Grumblethorn, woken from his nap, grumbled. A mouse, easy. With a puff of sparkly dust, he shrank into a tiny mouse, squeaking proudly. Boots pounced, not to harm, but to startle. The mouse giant squeaked in panic and scurried away, leaving the orchard behind. Boots turned to Milo, who'd been hiding behind a tree. See, psychology. Challenge a giant's pride, and he'll do silly things. The orchard's yours now. Milo was amazed. But is it really mine? I didn't buy it. Boots winked. Possession is 9/10 of the law, my friend. We'll make it official later. For now, let's tell the king this is the Marquis of Carabas land. Chapter 5. The royal invitation. Word of the Marquis orchard reached King Cornelius, who invited Milo to the castle. Boots coached Milo on the way. Stand tall, smile, and act like you own half the kingdom. Confidence is key. At the castle, Milo, dressed in borrowed finery from a kind tailor, met Princess Leela. She was clever, with a laugh like a bell and a love for learning. "So, Marquise," she said, eyeing Milo curiously, "tell me about your orchard. How do you grow such perfect apples?" Milo froze, but Boots whispered from behind a curtain, "Talk about sunlight and soil." So Milo launched into a speech about how apples need sunlight for photosynthesis, where plants turn light into energy, and rich soil for nutrients. He'd learned this from helping his father at the mill, and Lila was impressed. "You know your science," she said. "Most nobles just brag about their gold." Milo blushed. "Well, I like to understand how things grow." King Cornelius, overhearing, nodded, a man of knowledge and land. "Join us for a carriage ride tomorrow, Marquise. I want to see this orchard." Boots purred with pride. "Told you, Milo, science and swagger, that's our ticket." Chapter 6, The Carriage. Capritha next day. Boots had another wild idea. "We need to make you a legend, Milo. When the king's carriage passes the river, you'll be there, looking heroic. Leave it to me." Boots raced ahead and told farmers along the road, "When the king passes, say you work for the Marquis of Carabas." The farmers, charmed by Boots' charisma and a few shiny fish, agreed at the river. Boots accidentally pushed Milo into the water, shouting, "Help! The Marquis is in trouble." Milo, a strong swimmer, played along, splashing dramatically. When the king's carriage arrived, guards pulled Milo out, and Boots spun a tale of how the Marquis had bravely jumped in to save a duckling which was, in fact, just swimming nearby. The farmers chimed in, "That's our Marquis. He owns all these fields." The king, charmed by Milo's heroism and the lush lands, declared, "You're a fine young man, Marquis. My daughter could use a friend like you." Lila, watching Milo dry off with a sheepish grin, whispered, "You're not what you seem, are you?" Milo gulped, but Boots winked from the bushes. "Just keep smiling, kid." Chapter 7. The truth comes out. As weeks passed, Milo grew closer to Lila. They talked about plants, stars, and even the windmill's mechanics, which Lila found fascinating. But Milo's conscience nagged him. "Boots, I can't keep lying. I'm no Marquis. I'm just Milo, and this orchard isn't really mine." Boots tilted his head. "You're right, Milo. Lies are like catnip fun for a bit, but they wear off. Let's come clean, but in a way that keeps the king happy." Milo took a deep breath and invited the king and Leela to the orchard. There, he confessed, "Your Majesty, Princess, I'm not a Marquis. I'm Milo, a miller's son. My cat Boots made all this happen with his clever ideas. The orchard belongs to Grumblethorn, but he left, and I've been tending it. I want to earn it honestly." The king frowned, but Lila spoke up. "Father, Milo's honest, hard-working, and knows more about growing apples than any noble I've met. Isn't that worth more than a title?" Boots added, "And I'm no ordinary cat. I used science, psychology, physics, and a bit of charm to help Milo shine. But he's the real hero, working hard to make this orchard thrive." King Cornelius rubbed his chin. "Honesty is rare, young man, and you've cared for this land well. Grumblethorn abandoned it, so I declare it yours, Milo, not as a Marquis, but as a steward of Windwhistle. Keep learning, and you'll do great things." Chapter 8. A New Beginning. Milo didn't marry the princess that would have been to fit. Instead, he and Lila became best friends, studying science together. Milo used the orchard's profits to rebuild the old mill, turning it into a community hub where kids learned about plants, soil, and even how cats like Boots used observation to solve problems. Boots, now a village celebrity, strutted in his boots, teaching kids about gravity by knocking over cups and momentum by chasing balls. Science is everywhere, he'd say, winking, even in a cat's whiskers. The village of Windwhistle thrived, with Milo as its steward, Lila as its scholar, and Boots as its furry philosopher. They proved that you don't need a title to make a difference, just a good heart, a clever mind, and maybe a cat with a knack for adventure. The end.